Hey everybody, before we get to today's guest, I want to take a little bit of time to talk about the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame annual golf classic presented by Relief Windows. It's a 2-day event at the Golden Nugget Lake Charles Hotel and Casino, starting with the pairing party from 6 to 9 p.m. Sunday night, and then we have the golf tournament Monday beginning at 10 a.m. That's Monday, April 6th. You can play in the tournament. It's $1,500 a team, and it's $400 for each individual, and it's a 3-man team paired with a celebrity, or you can have a 4-man team without a celebrity. On-course food and drink stations and breakfast will be provided prior to the start of the tournament, and prizes will be awarded for long drive, closest to the pin, hole-in-one, and top 3 teams. There will also be a $25,000 putting contest. Each guest will get a bag with Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame swag valued at over $200. 2 tickets to pairings party, and the tournament will be played rain or shine. There will be no cancellation. When reserving your hotel room, mention the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame Foundation to receive a special rate of $109 per night. Call the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame Foundation's Executive Assistant Grayson McDonald at 318-554-9020 or email Grayson McDonald at lasportshall.com for any questions or additional information.
Welcome to the Louisiana Sports Download, where we bring you exclusive interviews with sports figures from around the Pelican State, as well as in-depth content surrounding current events at the high school, collegiate, and professional levels. Please welcome your host, Hunter Bauer.
Welcome back to the Louisiana Sports Download. We have a magnificent, special, awesome guest this week. We have Brooks Donald Williams, the head coach of the ULM women's basketball team. Coach, how are you doing?
I am doing fantastic, Hunter. It is good to hear your voice, my friend.
Yes, ma'am. It is good to hear from you. Me and Coach go back just a little ways, I guess. What, maybe 5, 6, 7 years, Coach?
Well, I think so, Hunter. Now, listen, don't start aging me now.
Hey, that just puts more age on me, I'm telling you. So
That's right.
But no, Coach Williams and me, we go back to our days at McNeese, and we had some good times and saw some great athletes come through, and we saw a lot of good sports memories and just memories in general. And Coach is a good friend of mine, and we're glad that she graciously accepted to come on the show this week.
You bet, Hunter. I'm honored to be on the show, and so excited about what you're doing for the state of Louisiana, and I'm just excited to still follow your career path, and excited that I was able to have an opportunity to work with you. I hate to get all your viewers too excited, but man, I'll tell you what, you're probably one of the most talented individuals that I ever was honored to work with, and I was able to learn a lot from you, and that certainly helped our program and helped our career, and there's no question you made our program better and helped us win a few games and a few championships. So we appreciate you and thank you.
Well, I appreciate it, Coach. It's like I said, it was some great memories. Glad that we were able to keep the friendship and be able to stay in touch, even though we don't see each other that often.
That's right. That's right.
Well, Coach, let's dive in. We try to focus on high school sports a lot, but we do dive into the college level too. But you come from the great town of Jennings, played basketball there, and you were all state, all parish, all district, all everything. Just talk a little bit about your time as a high school player and how it helped you develop into a coach that wanted to go up and help kids out herself.
Well, Hunter, it was really neat because, there were 2 things in Jennings that, you just grew up doing, and that was girls basketball back then and football. It was it both had such tradition. I grew up in the era of Coach Danny Miller. He's one of the most successful girls basketball coaches in our state. And I was so fortunate. I think back sometimes would my career be different if Danny Miller had not been the head coach at Jennings High School when I was growing up? And I think it would. At one point in time, Brenda Welch Nichols was the head coach at Sam Houston State, when I was at McNeese, and we were both products of his culture, at Jennings High School. And, it just was really neat to grow up in a basketball environment in that small town of Jennings. And, it started, long before Danny Miller with Jeanette Godet and just some really great programs and some incredible players. I think back to some of the players when I was little that I got to watch, ride my bike up to the gym or walk up to the gym because I didn't live far from the high school, and that I got to sit there and watch. And then, when I was old enough, got to play with and play against at night or on Sundays or, whatever. But we've had so much talent come in and out of that little small town. And it certainly helped mold and shape, my career path. It's incredible. We've got so many different high school coaches and of course, 2 Division I coaches, from a little small town is a big deal, and of course, Brenda is now at Bossier Parish Community College and right next to me. And just so proud of her and all of her success. She's had some incredible stops, but, we grew up dribbling a basketball everywhere. I had a ball in my hands everywhere I went. And, every Saturday morning we were in the gym with little dribblers. You grew up playing, and little dribblers was a big deal. And, camps back then were huge, and, going to Coach Miller's camps and going and getting coached by some of his players that have won state championships. And, they didn't lose a lot back then, Hunter. They were really good and some really, really great basketball. But that culture in that town of Jennings, Louisiana was incredible. And I'm very appreciative of it and think about it from time to time because I think things would be a lot different had I not grown up there.
Well, I'm sure they're appreciative of you too, because you were a 4-year starter, played in the All-Star game, served as a captain, and you led Jennings to 4 straight district titles. So, you definitely made an impact on the town, and and Jennings is it's a unique community, as in they bred winners, and and another thing you talk about Coach Miller, but there was also another coach that had an impact on you, and you ended up getting to work with him down the road, and that was Coach Matt Viator. Talk a little bit about him and basically, what he brought as a mentor and as a teacher himself.
Well, Coach V was a teacher of mine and taught world geography my freshman year and was coaching football. My brother was an offensive lineman for him. And of course, in a small town, I knew everybody on the football team and all my brother's friends. And Coach V was somebody that he walked in a room and just commanded respect, and we just all thought the world of him, even as, young freshmen. We knew that was the head football coach, and, but we also respected him as a person and as a man, and he was, he helped, even though he knew I was Seth Donald's younger sister, and he knew I was Brenda and David Donald's little girl, but, he still, as a girls basketball player and as an athlete, he still would take the time to teach leadership lessons and to teach life lessons. And, you don't have to do that.
That's right.
As a football coach, gosh, you got enough players on your own.
Right.
You don't have to fool with women's basketball, and, I'll never forget, we lost out of the playoffs my freshman year, and I was fortunate enough to be an integral part of that team. And, I didn't skip school, Hunter, but, after the playoffs we lost out one night and it was an upset for sure. And because we were really talented, maybe even picked to win it that year. And, I'd gone by everybody in district and all that. And I didn't go to school the next day. My mom and I had gone to Mississippi to see my grandparents just because, basketball is such a long season. You don't get, you go through every dang holiday and all that good stuff. But I'll never forget going back to school. But, the next opportunity, I'd gone back to school and Coach V asked to see me after class. And, of course, all your friends, when you're young, they're like, oh, you're in trouble. And I really was scared. I thought, oh, gosh, what did I do? I don't remember doing anything, but okay, yes, sir. And boy, he taught me a really big lesson, and, he called me, he called me Donald, that's my maiden name. And he said, Donald, he didn't really care why I wasn't at school. He didn't, but he noticed that I wasn't there the day after we lost. And, I don't exactly remember his words, but his lesson was that leaders don't do that. If you win, if you lose, if you're going through a challenge, whatever it is, you show back up and you teach people how to lead and you lead through adversity. And I remember as a young athlete back then, I thought, wow, he's right. And I should, and even though it was somewhat innocent, I was with my mom. I never had a chance to tell him that part. And I surely wasn't going to interrupt him. But I so appreciate the life lessons that I was able to learn from him at a young age. And I'm so thankful because look where my path has taken me from meeting him years ago.
Right.
I'm following him everywhere. So, and how special our friendship is. I don't know whether to call him a second dad or one of my best friends, but he's kind of a little bit of both, and he's been a big mentor of mine, and we're really close, and he and his wife both, and just love them both like family.
Yeah, he's a really good guy, and I'm glad I got to know him during his time at McNeese, and just a special person and a good coach, and we really appreciate what he did here at McNeese. But we'll talk a little bit more about high school for a second. Coach, the LHSAA is getting ready to have their convention tomorrow where they're going to possibly vote on ending the split. Give your thoughts or maybe an opinion on, because you played high school ball and, you coached high school ball. Talk about a little bit about the split and, what's your opinion on it? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Does it hurt recruiting for the high school level? Or, what do you say about that?
I'll be honest with you, Hunter. I don't know what I can legally say, but I will tell you this, my experience when there was no split as a high school athlete was incredible. If you're a really competitive athlete, you want to play against the best. And, as competitive coaches and competitive athletes, I can't imagine not playing against the best in the state, the best in your class, and I'm very fortunate that we didn't have the split when I was growing up. I would not have wanted a bye all the way to the semis or, anything like that. And I'm just speaking for me personally as an athlete in high school. I'm so glad that we had those battles in by district and battles in quarterfinals. And, I can replay those games like it's yesterday. And we had such good basketball back then. And I just would hate to have played when there were so many, different championships. And, I love the fact that we were able to compete, with the best.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree too. It's because, growing up in Haynesville and, we were the best in high school football or one of the best. And, we wanted to play the best. And, I hope they get it all sorted out and maybe get them all back together in the same room one day. But I guess we'll see where that goes. But let's get back to your career. Coach, you go from all-starring at Jennings, and then you take that ability and those talents and you go and play for Mississippi State. Just talk a little bit about your experience there and how your playing career was.
Well, Hunter, I walked on at Mississippi State, and I've always been. I think this is one thing that's really probably got me into coaching. But I was an injured athlete in high school. Back then it was a lot different than it is now. But I had my knee scoped. I guess 2 different years in high school,
oh, wow.
Maybe my sophomore and my senior year, or sophomore and junior. I can't even remember anymore, but 2 of the 4 years, and of course back then, it's like you're almost out for a dang season.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can be back so much quicker and all those things. So, I attempted to walk on at Mississippi State and got injured again right away, and probably some previous injuries still lingering. And so Coach Sharon Fanning was the head coach then. She allowed me to stay on and be a manager, or in a manager capacity that freshman year, and basically just travel with the team and be a part of the program. And I'm so thankful for that, because my experience there was incredible. I still have some really, really great friends that were on the team and that I keep up with, daily, weekly, and I'm very, very thankful for that experience. But I think the injuries led me to coaching. There's no doubt about it. During my time at Mississippi State, because I was only a part of the women's basketball team my freshman year, and then I would go home in the summers. Of course, everything's evolved so differently now. Now we're all going to summer school and training pretty much 365, but back then, summer was different. You went home for the summers, and especially in our sport, but I would go home in the summers and coach for Acadiana Stars, which was my AAU program in Lafayette that I played for growing up for Coach Errol Rogers and Gary Broadhead. And so I would do that. I would go home in the summers and coach with them, and loved it. Absolutely loved coaching with the both of them. Mostly Coach Errol. Coach Errol was the one that allowed me to coach with him, and started doing that. And then my last year in college at Mississippi State, I had a really good friend that was coaching at Ole Miss, and in a director of ops position or grad assistant position. I don't really remember exactly what her position was, but we started an AAU program, or she did, and I helped her in Oxford. And so we recruited, players in that area, in North Mississippi area, and had a blast doing it, and had some really talented players. But, we won great number of games and went on to AAU nationals and competed. And so we were very fortunate to do that. And then that led to my first college job. So it led me right out of graduating from Mississippi State and right into the career. So that's my playing career was very, very short, and I never was able to put on a jersey at Mississippi State. And I struggled with that. It's such a hard thing when when that's all you've done your whole life. And the realization that it's over and you got to move on to something else, and life kind of goes on. And I think for a while there, you get a little lost, like, what are you going to do now? Well, I started coaching, and coaching fulfilled that passion for me. And
right.
And instead of going to shoot all day and night, I started coaching and helping other people. So.
I was going to ask, when you were at Jennings, you were a captain for the team, and I feel like captains have that natural tendency that they're a coach on the court. Did you know that young that there was maybe an inkling that you would be a coach someday, or just really never thought about it until you got to Mississippi State? I mean, did you know that those natural tendencies to be a coach were there?
I think so, Hunter. I always enjoyed being a leader on the team and directing. And I actually didn't play the point guard position, but you wouldn't know it by, I was fairly vocal, I think, probably on and off the floor. And, I don't know that Coach, I loved my high school coaches, Coach Mayu and Coach McNeely. They were extremely impactful in my life. And I have to go back and ask them, but I don't think they ever complained or told me to talk. I think it was probably the opposite. But I have a feeling I really enjoyed, the leadership role and enjoyed, helping them and helping deliver the message on the floor for them and even off, and probably even mainly off the floor, dragging people to the gym with me. And, I remember that, I was a gym rat, and that's something that's probably missing in our game today is, the kids that are gym rats, that just love to go live in the gym and shoot and improve their game. So I think I probably, if anybody wanted to go hang out with me, they knew where to find me. I was either at Granny's house or at the gym. There were two places and people check the gym first. And so I think, taking people to the gym with me, is a part of, possibly becoming a coach one day, I would think,
Right.
But I think there were certainly some signs of being a coach and I don't think it was anything I ever, by any means fought. I love the game so much. I could not imagine this game or teaching people or sharing the game. I can't imagine it not being in my life.
So yeah, you start your college coaching career, and you coach at Southern Miss and Memphis and Little Rock. But one thing I noticed, because I was going through your bio again today, just to kind of get a fresh update, I noticed that at all three of those universities, you were also the recruiting coordinator. Was that something that, as a coach, is it difficult to do while coaching, or did you love it? Was it, hey, I want to do this, or did it kind of just get passed down? Talk a little bit about that and how recruiting then and now has, really changed, or if it's changed at all.
Well, when I first got to Little Rock, I think I was initially hired as the bottom assistant, and I think right when I got hired, it may have been a couple days, it may have been a week, but one of our other assistants had moved on. And I may be confused about that, Hunter. It may have been a year. I may have been an assistant for a year, and I think that's right. And then the other two, I served as recruiting coordinator. But with all the stops, I was fortunate to serve in that capacity. And, I don't think that it's difficult to do both. I think that certainly when you're there for some time, if you're there for a couple of years, you're able to coach the kids that you bring in. And I think that's important because you have the relationship with them throughout the recruiting process. You're building rapport with them, their families, and so then you step out onto the floor with them, and you already have some instant trust, and that's one thing that I've really tried to help with young coaches today. Why recruiting and relationships and that rapport is so important, because if you don't have that, I think it's really hard for kids to start to trust you and the knowledge and what you say on the floor and off the floor. I think your coaching, abilities and your knowledge can be shared so much better when you do recruit them. And when you do have rapport with their high school coaches and their AAU coaches and their family members, because, if they see that trust, they're going to run through a brick wall for you. And I think that was a really good combination for me, and I was very thankful that all those coaches, of course, Memphis and Southern Miss was was the same coach, Coach McNeese, and but I was thankful that Coach Lang and Coach McNeese both trusted me with those positions, and I valued that. I really did. I valued it's a relationship business. That's all it is, and I guess we could say that most businesses are, but this is certainly one. If you don't have a relationship with these players and with the coaches, that you're recruiting the players from, it rarely works out well.
Going back to the recruiting, I'm not real sure about basketball, but, in football and such, it seems to me you have so many coaching changes. Coach, is it hard to gain that trust at first from those players that you're trying to recruit? You're like, well, sometimes you're at a program where you may have had 2 or 3 coaches in the last couple of years. And, is it difficult now from when it was maybe 10, even 15 years ago, that recruiting process?
I think it is, Hunter, but I think just like anything, young people are smart.
Right.
They're really smart. I mean, they can see through us all. I've got a 3-year-old and, he can pick up on the people that really care about you right away.
Right.
And, it's kind of just like, they say, dogs are that way. I mean, if you have it, and I think you do have a dog, but, if you have dogs, they know when you really care about
That's
them,
right.
and when you really take care of them. And I think, our players are the same way. They can see through all the other stuff. They know when somebody's not genuine. They know when they can trust, and they know when somebody's not putting in the work for you. They know when somebody's trying to shortchange you. And they know the coaches that are coming in at 9 or 10 and leaving at 2 or 3 or 4. They know the ones that are staying up all night, trying to work for them. They know you can't hide that stuff. And I just, it's never been hard for me to build rapport with kids because I think they can see through all of it. They know that we're genuinely trying to work for them and care for them. And it's kind of like parenting a little bit. They may not always like, some of the things we have to say, like, because, you're not going to always be their favorite person.
That's
you're
great.
Making them do some things that makes them uncomfortable, but at the same time, if you're honest with them and you treat them fairly, they're going to respect it. And that's all you need. You need their respect and respect each other and some good things are going to come out of it. But, the recruiting process is no different. I think I learned a long time ago, cause I've got some fluff to me, I can sugarcoat some things and have some fluff, but I learned a long time ago, just to be very direct and honest, because they can see right through it, and I'm so glad because, I just think it's best for everyone if they know exactly what they're getting into, and if they want to be a part of that. If they want to be a part of exactly what you're telling them, then they're going to do some really special things. And if they don't, you probably don't want them. There's probably a better program for them. And sometimes that's hard because there's some really talented kids out there, that you want to get no matter what, even if that's not a good fit, but at the end of the day, if we're really serving others and trying to do the best for others, you got to let some kids go and you got to get the kids that fit you best.
Like I say, you get your feet wet, a couple of assistant coaching spots, and then the big job came, and that was at McNeese. Coach, what attracted you? I know you're from Jennings, but what attracted you to Lake Charles and McNeese State University?
Well, one word, I guess, it's home.
Mm-hmm.
Home. You just can't beat home. I was at Southern Miss at the time, and I'll never forget we were playing at Marshall, And I was in Coach McNeese, my head coach's room. We have a great relationship, still do, love her. She's one of my dearest friends, and I owe a lot to her. And we were sitting in there watching film. It was, I don't know, 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and I got a call from a good friend of my dad's and a guy that was on the Board of Regents, but at the time, but anyway, I knew that the job was open, and Coach looked at me and like, oh gosh, it's home. How do you beat home?
Right.
It's what she had just done. She had just left Memphis to go to Southern Miss to go home. And it's a really hard thing to beat. And every friend that I had told me not to take that job because they had not won in a long time. And, it just had not been a great situation. And financially, it wasn't a good deal. And at the time and all that. And I just, said I would go take a look, and I knew when I stepped foot on campus and was breathing the Louisiana air again that I knew that it was just when I started kind of defending it, and you could just had a feeling, I just had that feeling. And, of course, Sonny was the AD then, and I don't know. It just was a great feeling. And Coach V, it was a lot of comfort that Coach Viator was there. And Hunter, there's something about taking over a program that has a need for you. And they certainly had a need at the time, and I just thought it was a really great situation.
Yeah, I was looking through my notes while you were talking, and it said that McNeese had not produced a winning record the 10 previous seasons before you got there, and that's what my next question was going to be. You knew it was going to be a challenge. Was it worse than what you thought it was going to be when you got there, or did you think, okay, well, I got this. This is going to happen. We're going to get this turned around. What was your reaction heading in, or what was your expectations heading into that first season?
I don't know, Hunter. I think I was real young and cocky, man. I don't know what I thought. I think I thought I could probably do anything, but I don't know. Carol Sinsley was the coach before me, and she was really good. Mm-hmm. And that was one thing that concerned me a little bit because, I knew that Carol was good. I had a lot of respect for her. We were friends, and I knew she did a really good job. And so that's one thing that scared me a little bit, and I don't know. I just think that I went in and just went to work. I don't know that I even thought about like what's to come and, all those things. I think we just literally lived in the moment. And, I don't think we thought about winning the conference. And, I don't remember thinking those thoughts. Like, I don't remember thinking we're going to cut down a net one day, we're going to win the league, we're going to do this or do that. I really think we went in and just thought about winning the day and winning the moment and winning, that situation, whatever it was, because there were a lot of them. And I really, that's my advice to myself now. If you can go into everything and just win that moment and stay in that moment, it's probably really the best thing you can do. Now, that's not to say you don't have a big picture vision. I think we saw some things that could happen there that, maybe nobody else could see. I remember walking out to our first game and walking out of the locker room tunnel, whatever. And there were literally 20 people in the stands. And I remember thinking, there's no way. I remember going to social study fairs and science fairs and whatever in Burton Coliseum when I was a kid. And that place was packed. So I could envision that place being packed. And why couldn't it be packed for us? And so, okay, well, 2 years later, we broke an attendance record, or 2 or 3 years later, we break an attendance record, and, and Shante Perry breaks the record, for the conference for threes versus Louisiana Tech, and we beat Tech, and it was a great environment, just really special, electric atmosphere, and I remember that night thinking back to that first day and thinking, okay, this is what I was talking about in my mind to myself, and so I think there were certainly things that I thought in my mind and could picture, and but I really think we did a very good job of living in the moment.
You did, and you had those first couple of seasons where you built the program, you brought in your coaching staff, got in your players, and then the 2010-2011 season, man, y'all were rocking and rolling. You go 26-7, 15-1 in conference. You win the title and end up taking the Cowgirls to the NCAA tournament. Coach, just talk about you had Coach Broadhead, which had coached you or was with you coaching, and you had the Baggett twins, and Coach, just talk about how magical of a run it was. I mean, and not only did you do it once, you did it the next season too.
Yeah, it was really special, Hunter. The twins committed to me right when I'd gotten the job, and played their first year, and then did not play their second year, and then so we went through a lot of bumps, and again, just really stayed the course. We tried to do what was right every step of the way, and as best we could, and I think a lot of those things really paid off. We had some kids that bought into a work ethic that was really special. And the ones that continued to work, it was so fun to watch their work pay off. And I think Gary and I both, we had a lot of good coaches along the way. Jennifer Sullivan, who's now an assistant coach at University of Tennessee. Pauline Love, who's now an assistant coach at University of Arkansas. Those are both former players of mine, at Memphis and Southern Miss. But, we just had a lot of good people along the way. And Gary's certainly an integral part of what we did. And the experienced old guy, and he loves that. But, we just stayed the course. We really did not let anything alter what we were doing. He used to tell me how stubborn I was, and he said he'd never met anybody more stubborn than him. And that made me even more, that made me want to be more stubborn. But, I just think that those young ladies that we had were special, and they took on an attitude just that nobody could stop them, and they didn't care who we were playing. Half the time they didn't know or care who we were playing. They really just lived in that moment. And, it was really special. The twins came back on the team, and, everyone else, that was a part of the program, they all had such chemistry and played selflessly, and it just was really neat. The community was a massive part in all of it. And the administration, we had some really good administrators at the time, and Dr. Abear and Tommy and Ryan Ivy, they all supported our program and put us, John Davival, they all put us in a position to win.
And that's what I was going to go to next, Coach, was, not only were y'all winning championships, you're growing the fan base. You're tripling your home attendance. You brought in a good crowd. I think in 2011, y'all had a top 10 crowd with LSU, but y'all were doing things in the community. Coach, just talk about, it. Yes. You want to win championships, you want to graduate your players, but you also want to develop that relationship with your community, and just talk about how important that was, not only to you, but to your team as well.
It was big, I remember looking at Courtney Hollins and Conchetta Cotrere, Chad. They were two of my girls on the very first team when we walked out there, and and there were literally 20 people out there, and probably 10 of them were from Courtney Hollins' family. She had a large family, but or a large fan base, and just told them I wouldn't stop until they had more people to support them. They deserve better. And I told them in the locker room that day that was on me, and I needed their help, but that's on me, and I remember going door to door and putting tickets, and I don't think it's legal to do this, Hunter, so I'm sorry to everybody listening. But we'd put tickets, in people's mailboxes and on their front doors and knock on their doors and hand them tickets and ask them to come. And, we invited people into our building.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people just want to be asked. I think they want to be invited. They hear about things and they want to feel the excitement, but they want to be included. And so we invited them, and they started to come, and then they watched this group of girls that worked really hard. And, and then here comes the attachment. Women's basketball, it's about the rapport, the relationship. And, our girls would go up into the stands and thank them for coming, give them a hug. It started to become, then they know them, and then, it just grew from there, and it exploded at some point into something really special. And something that's still going on today, people really still care about cowgirl basketball, and it makes me really proud, because that first group and that first group of players, coaches, and administration, they bought into something that wasn't there, and something that we thought could be there, and that's what just continued to grow and grow and grow. And it's changed some of those kids' lives. A lot of those players still live in that area. And because the community embraced them, they didn't want to leave. And that's really neat, it's really neat. They're giving back to that community now as professionals in all different professions. And that's just something that's really special.
Yeah, and that special bond between your teams and the community, I believe it helped. I really believe it helped y'all win that that conference tournament title the next year. Because they were behind y'all the whole way. Y'all were beating some really good teams and competing the whole season, and then you go in the first round of the NCAA tournament, and you're down by 3 at the half against a really good Kentucky team. Just talk about how what did it, Coach? Did it seem real, or did it seem like it was happening all too fast? What was your take on that?
Hunter, you were around me, so you know how incredibly intense I get. Probably unhealthy intense at times, but if I thinking back, that's always my advice to some younger coaches, to maybe stop and enjoy some of it, because I know I probably didn't stop and enjoy it as much. I think I felt like if I did, it would stop, but I'll never forget, going to bed the night before we played Texas A&M in Shreveport, and calling and texting everybody from the first year, the coaches and the players. And and it was late. It was, I don't know, midnight or 1, late for most people, and just, thanking them, because it had been so special. The first year to me, though, Hunter, was probably just as special as the NCAA tournaments. And I know that sounds crazy, but we accomplished so many things that in that first year that helped us get to those points that, that I think that they needed to hear, that they were a big part of it. But playing Kentucky down to the wire in Ames, Iowa, I don't know that really sunk in until, way after the fact. I mean, we had a chance to beat Kentucky, and, a lot of people texted after the game, like, wow, it's great. I mean, thousands, a ton of texts to everybody involved. And I don't think that those things really hit you until after, but, just really proud of our players. I mean, they played incredible basketball for several years and really withstood some winning for, 6 or 7 years after we had gotten it built. Really fun time.
Yeah, I mean, you go to the first two NCAA tournaments, and that was the first of 6 straight postseason runs, and just an incredible program that you built, Coach. It was, you became the all-time wins leader, and multiple all-conference, and it just seemed like it was a special time to be around the Cowgirl program. But not only because of the winning, like I said, you had special people in the program playing for the program, and to talk about. Was it difficult to leave McNeese? Was that always your plan to take that next step? Did it kind of come at the last minute? Just kind of take us through those steps and what your thought process was.
Well, I mean, I don't think it was necessarily ever a plan, Hunter. I mean, I think again, I kind of make decisions just with, these gut feelings, and, I loved every second of being there. I mean, McNeese had become a home, and will always be. I mean, it's home for me. I mean, I'm 30 minutes down the road is where I was born and raised, and, I grew up in Cowboy Stadium, so, I mean, I sat in that grass and watched games, and football games, during my childhood. And so anyway, I mean, I think probably one of the hardest things to ever do was to leave there. I don't think that was really ever necessarily the plan. I think, I think I had been through so many changes, changes in administration and changes with some coaching staff members, and just a lot of change, and sometimes that wears on you a little bit, and we just I don't know, I think that the timing possibly was just a good time to go and grow. I felt like I was doing more fundraising and some of those things than I was coaching. And, I really wanted to continue to be as sharp as I could for those student athletes. And I don't know that I was able to work on my craft as much. And I'm saying that, you've been around me, so that, we were a hard, diligent, hardworking staff, and I just didn't have the time, to work on my craft like I wanted to, because some of the demands of some other things pulling me, and so that scared me a little bit. I felt like, maybe I wasn't giving them my very best in the basketball part, but at the same sense, gosh, I could never imagine leaving some of those players. I loved them. I loved them like my own, and like they were my own kids. I mean, Jalen Johnson was from Jennings, Louisiana, and Allison Baggett, I mean, those kids were like my kids. And of course, Amber Donez is still right next to me, and those, I don't know, they just were all really great kids, Victoria Rochelle, and, all of them, Mercedes Rogers, and, but anyway, it was really tough, but I felt like I really needed to grow. There was a part of me that felt like they needed some change, and maybe, maybe something fresh, and, something, some change for them. I felt like kind of all I was doing then was fighting for them for everything. And and I didn't want the program to be like that. I wanted them to have the best of everything. And sometimes when somebody's been there a while, you tend to, have to fight a little bit more. And so anyway, I think that those are the things that kind of led to just some thoughts of leaving. And then Christy Curry is a really good friend of mine and had been for a long time. And she had an opening at Alabama, and it's a level I had not coached at, and we had some really good conversations about an opportunity there, and just that's certainly not anything I had ever considered. Was going back to being an assistant, and that's not really the path that I thought I would ever do. But at the time I was pregnant and with my first child, and just, I don't know. It just kind of transpired, and just something I thought would maybe be good for everybody.
Yeah, and it actually, I think it turned out good because, you spent 3 years at Alabama. Your first year there, the Tide, I think they won 22 games, which was the most in probably over a decade. And, y'all went deep into the postseason. And, Coach, I just believe you brought your, that special ability to help turn around a program and make those impacts on players. And, did you feel that way? Did you feel like it was, I helped turn this around, and I can put that on a resume that could help me make it to that next job? Or was it more of a, I don't know. Was it still special even though you didn't have the head coach title?
Oh, I think so, Hunter. I think you can feel such a part of anything, even, whatever role that you're in. And, I think it was really, really neat to be able to work with Coach Curry, and help her any way possible. I think it was really fun to learn from her, and learn from Kelly, and learn from Sharika Wright, and learn from their whole program. And I think it's fun to be a part of their building process, and hopefully I helped in some capacity. And I think the other thing that was really neat was Allison Habits is a really good friend of mine. She grew up in Crowley, Louisiana, and is in the softball world. But, we've been friends for a long, long time. And, it was really fun to be near her again and be a part of also the softball program a little bit and learn from them. And it's just it's a school that has so many champions that you can't even name every program. But I really appreciate Christy giving me that opportunity, and being able to learn from everybody involved, and take a step back, but yet be in the grind, and to be in one of the best leagues in the country.
Yeah, and like I said, y'all performed outstanding because, y'all beat Tennessee 4 straight times, including in Knoxville. I don't feel like Tennessee loses to the same team 4 straight times a lot. Just talk about how, being able to win over programs like that and learn from that has helped you as a coach over the years.
Well, it was fun to watch the prep for that, and it's fun to watch, and be a part of the staff, and be a part of it. Hunter, it was not my scout, so I can't claim it, but but it was fun to watch, and fun to be a part of, and fun to watch the confidence. It breeded confidence within the program, and just really, really neat to be a part of. But you're exactly right. That's a tough thing to do, and it's a tough thing for any program to do to win in Knoxville, and it was really special, to be a part of that, and I loved, watching the different schemes and different things offensively and defensively that the program, did night in and night out against incredible talent in the SEC.
Yep, and it's like I said, I believe it helped prepare you for that next step, and that was earlier this year when you were announced the head coach of the ULM Warhawk women's basketball team. And Coach, just take us through that and how that came to be, and again, what attracted you to the program.
Well, for the second time in my life, I got a call from Matt Viator, and of course we keep in touch. We had kept in touch, like always, but Coach V was, he thought this might possibly be a good situation and for me, and so we had talked about it a little bit, and so I was able to visit with the administration and really liked them, and really enjoyed their vision and thought that they were ready. I'd heard all the some negativity about the program and about where it had been recently, and it's amazing. It's so good to be informed, but it's also good to form your own opinions and do your own research. And again, like we said earlier, it's about relationships and people. And I really enjoyed the people through the process. And I loved what I was learning about the people involved, and Scott McDonald and who was interim AD at the time and became AD, and Todd Dooley, who's the executive associate athletic director. He's got a lot of names, but Todd had spent a good bit of time in the women's basketball world, worked for Pat Summitt, was a manager for her in undergrad, and so he's got that special background, which is really neat. Ryan Ivey had a women's basketball background.
That's right.
When he was at McNeese. So, prior to McNeese. So, I thought that was always made Ryan stand out in my heart and in my mind. And even though he played football, in college, I still think that, made him a special administrator for our sport. And so it definitely intrigued me with Todd, in the same sense. And of course, Dr. Bruno, something about Dr. Bruno just reminded me a little bit of Dr. Hebert and his love for basketball and sports and I could just tell he just has a winning attitude, and just the things that he's done academically here for the university and the progression of the med school opening on campus. It's just unbelievable, so many good things going on, and I just felt like I wanted to be a part of them, Hunter, and I don't know, again, a lot like when I made the decision to go to McNeese, I really probably knew right away. In hiring processes, it's probably everybody tells you make sure, take your time, all that stuff, but I probably knew right away because I really liked all the people involved.
Yeah, just ever since you and Coach Viator got there, I've been trying to follow ULM as much as I can. And, it just seems like they're taking the right steps to build a better culture up there. Not saying that they didn't have a good one before, but it just seems like they're building on that culture and trying to make it a special place. Coach, what's different so far about this job than when you first got to McNeese?
Well, it takes you 5 minutes or 5 seconds, I guess, to meet Scott McDonald, who's our leader, and, he's a former player here, and, his wife went to school here. They're from this area. They love this place, and, they're both very smart and sharp individuals. And, I think they're different. I think he's different. And, I think he's an extraordinary leader, and I'm excited to be a part of what he's about to do as a leader of our department. I think he's going to be really good. And so I think there's there's a neat thing going there. And, and I think there are just some special coaches in place. I mean, our head softball coach played at Alabama, was a part of an incredible run, at Alabama for Alabama softball. She was a part of just a dynamic program with Coach Murphy and Allie and, that whole crew there. And you can feel the excitement for her program. And then you got Coach Fed in baseball, and it's almost the same. I mean, you can just feel that about to bust open. And, both of them, coming as new coaches and coming from winning programs and just, I don't know, it's just a different, the same thing kind of happened when I got to McNeese, I mean, Terry had just been hired, and then Justin came right after him. And I mean, look at what Justin's done there. Just special, so special. And Terry laid the groundwork for that, but it's so special to watch what Justin's doing there. And, you can just, and then, of course, the softball success at McNeese and it's almost like I feel that all over again here, and but in a different way. And then, of course, what I feel about V. I think V could coach, anywhere in the country and be the best. And I don't have any doubt that he's going to do that here. There's no doubt in my mind. I think he's one of the best leaders and coaches I have ever been around. And I've been, around some special coaches and some, all different sports. And, but I think we've got a lot of really neat things going academically that are separating us, in our state, to build this med school. It's really going to separate our sports medicine care. And it's going to be neat to watch how that evolves. And I'm excited about being a part of that and being a part of First there. And we're just thankful for Dr. Bruno's legacy. And of course, he announced his retirement not long ago, but we're very, very thankful of his stamp on ULM. And it's going to be a long-lasting stamp.
I hear you, Coach, and it's going to be exciting to see what you do and how you build the program up, because I promise you ULM is getting nothing but the best from you. So, and we root for you all the time. I always keep up with you, and it was so great to get to talk to you again.
Well, thank you so much, Hunter. Really appreciate it, and just so proud of what you're doing for Louisiana sports, across the board. It's incredible. And, you're impacting, our world of sports in the state, and we've got the best. So appreciate you. Thank you.
I appreciate it. We, try to do as best as we can. And, Louisiana is special when it comes to athletics on every level. And, just happy to do it. Happy to get to promote good people and good friends like you.
Thanks, Hunter. Appreciate you. Go Warhawks.
All right, Coach. Thank you. Have a good one.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to follow at Louisiana Preps on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe for free to listen every week to the Louisiana Sports Download.